much for joining Podforce One.
Great to see you, Miranda, and welcome to the FDA.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be at your beautiful Maryland campus with all the fall leaves. I wanted to start off with Anthony Fauci, who I think, we were just joking that he was the patron saint of Wuhan. But really, he was given a pardon by Joe Biden in his final days before he left the presidency. Why do you think that was?
Well, I don't think Tony Fauci is going to be sending me a Christmas card this year. We had massive disagreements through the entire course of the last 4 years. And look, I think he gave a lot of bad advice. I think he was involved, regardless of what you think of his positions, insisting schools shut down for nearly 2 years, shutting kids out of school, pushing COVID vaccine mandates, pushing COVID vaccine boosters in young, healthy individuals, not talking about the risks of myocarditis or any other evidence of vaccine injury, censoring Americans, pushing cloth masks, giving people a false sense of security. All the areas where we disagreed. Put that aside. We can have a disagreement. We should have an open discourse on those things. One thing that's extremely obvious that very few people realize, and certainly hardly anyone in the medical establishment where I come from realized, is that he was involved in a massive cover-up of the origins of COVID, a massive cover-up. Whether or not he was involved in the experiments or funding the experiments that led to the origins of COVID, he was clearly 100% involved in the cover-up, and that all came out in the film, Thank You, Dr. Fauci, which goes through it all.
And particularly there was the letter in The Lancet, which Dr. Fauci's kind of proxy, a man called Peter Daszak, who ran this bizarre little nonprofit called Eco Health Alliance, which was sort of the cutout for doing that Frankenstein gain-of-function research in China, in Wuhan, after it was banned in America for a short time. And Dr. Fauci was, we know now, involved at the writing of that letter and making sure that it was published. What went wrong with the whole medical establishment? And I'm talking about The Lancet. I'm talking about during the 2020, we'd all been locked down, and then suddenly in the summer of 2020, we have 1,300 medical people, including epidemiologists, writing an open letter saying, oh, it's quite okay to go and join mass gatherings if it comes to BLM protests because, racial equity is so much more important than sheltering in place from COVID, which just sort of surprised everybody. What went wrong?
Yeah, I'm just smiling because they did beclown themselves when they said a campaign event was a massive super spreader event, but if it was for a different purpose that they believed was noble, that it was entirely okay and safe. Look, I think our society has engaged in a toxic polarization of every issue now, the echo chambers of social media, the affirming news that sort of spins people up into a rage. And that's going on in the broader society now, where if you disagree, it's no longer a healthy disagreement where you can just be frustrated with the other person. It's now censor them, silence them, dismiss them, get them fired, lock them up in jail. That is a very toxic level of polarization we really just have not seen in the modern era. And unfortunately, it's crossed over into medicine, into the healthy dialogue we as physicians had, that we had at Johns Hopkins, that Jay Bhattacharya had at Stanford, that my colleagues at Harvard when I was there. We would have these disagreements, but only recently did Anthony Fauci take it to the next level of using science as political propaganda. He commissioned the pieces that lied about the COVID origins. The author who submitted the article said this was commissioned by Dr. Fauci and Dr. Collins in that cover letter. Again, you go through the emergency calls he had. So if you think back to the end of January, just before COVID became a thing in the news in the United States, January, February, what was Dr. Fauci doing? He was frantically engaging in a massive cover-up with 3 a.m. emails and phone calls. He was convening people, and the notes from those meetings reveal that all these virologists he convened had told him, we think it came from the Wuhan lab. And the output was, days later, those same scientists wrote a letter in the medical journal saying it definitely did not come from the lab. And they went on to receive, some of them, millions of dollars in funding from Fauci's agency. It's not right. This is not rocket science. It's a no-brainer where it came from. The researchers in the Wuhan lab sent a grant proposal in 2008 to the United States government saying, this is what we would like to do. It's called the Diffuse Grant. You're very familiar with it. Hardly ever covered in the media. And the Diffuse Grant said, the Wuhan lab researchers, we the Wuhan lab researchers would like to take a bat coronavirus and insert a furin cleavage site to enable this virus to infect humans. And you think, well, what a bunch of mad scientists. Why would you do that? And there's this fantasy idea that Collins and Fauci had promoted from, the dinosaur age, where they thought, if you Frankenstein a terrible virus, then you could maybe help find a cure to it. Well, just stop doing it. You're more likely to cause a pandemic than you are to prevent.